Lila Sanchez parked her dusty hatchback beneath a blooming tangerine tree and inhaled the perfume of citrus blossoms mingled with the earthy promise of dawn. 5 o'clock came early, but the Cardinals never waited for the sun to get its act together, and neither did her podcast listeners. For 2 seasons now, Whispers Among the Groves had offered sleepy subscribers 30-minute soundscapes recorded among the oranges, grapefruits, and lemons of Grapefruit Springs, Florida. Each episode opened with birdsong, rustling leaves, maybe a creaking wind machine, then segued to Lila talking about bud break or lady beetle larvae, or whatever else the grove suggested that week. It was, as her abuela delighted in telling anyone who would listen, the most relaxing thing you can do with a cell phone that isn't a nap. Today's assignment: capture the grey light chorus near row 14, where the hooded warblers had returned after last month's storm. Lila clipped a fluffy windsock over her recorder, pressed the red button, and set the tripod in dewy grass. Then she backed away, holding her breath the way a parent does when a baby finally sleeps. The grove awakened. Morning doves cooed first, soft and tentative. Blue jays squabbled in the pines. A tractor coughed to life across the creek, and Lila winced. She'd have to edit that out. Then, from somewhere deeper, a strange staccato. Thud, scrape, thud, like a box shoved across a truck bed. She frowned, but kept still. Unfamiliar sounds were half the fun. Listeners wrote to say they replayed episodes just to guess what was hidden under the ambience. The sun's rim peaked above the Atlantic plain, painting the grove gold. Satisfied, Lila padded back to the tripod, hit stop, and slipped the memory card into her pocket. A thermos of cafecito waited at the car, and Aunt Marisol's muffins sat in a cooler. Dawn patrol complete. Editing, oddly enough, was Lila's favourite part. The grove might provide the raw fragrance of life, but Audacity gave her power to sculpt it. 2 hours after returning home, she had the warblers shimmering at a perfect level, the jays politely quieter, the tractor deleted with a neat crossfade. Then she noticed the spike. At the 12-minute mark, the waveform leapt, a blunt little hill where no bird ought to perch. She soloed the track. "No, don't! Help! A sharp cry, fabric scuffling, metal door slamming, an engine whining into gear. Lila's hand froze on the mouse. She replayed the snippet, increasing the volume. Same sounds, clearer now. A woman's voice, but whose? Not a random tourist. Row 14 bordered only private groves. Maybe it was a prank. Podcast gear sometimes picked up distant CB chatter that locals jokingly called ghost radio. Yet this didn't feel like banter. It felt like fear. Her phone buzzed, a text from Fiona Lynn, the entomology grad student who had been cataloguing grove pollinators all spring. 8:10 a.m., an hour after Fiona usually arrived at the packing barn. Fiona, running late, be there soon. That was yesterday. Today, no message. Lila typed a quick, "Are you okay?" and hit send. 3 grey dots flashed, then vanished. No reply. Lila's pulse drummed in her ears. Fiona was lodging at Sunny Palms Motel during her field season. Maybe she overslept, but she was the kind of early bird who made Lila feel lazy. And the muffled voice on the recording had Fiona's clipped vowels, the ones sharpened by growing up in Vancouver. Lila saved the file under a new name. Dawn Chorus, May 24, Raw Evidence. She attached it to an email addressed to Deputy Marcus Reed, her high school debate partner turned Citrus County Sheriff's deputy. She hesitated over the subject line, then typed, "Possible kidnapping audio. Call me ASAP." The sheriff's office occupied a low stucco building beside the bait shop. Inside, Ceiling fans whirred doggedly against the heat. Marcus met Lila in the interview room with 2 cups of vending machine coffee and his trademark gentle smile. "Let's hear it again," he said, sliding her laptop closer. She played the 30-second clip. Marcus's brows knit. "If that's Fiona, we've got a problem. Have you had any missing person calls this morning?" "Not yet, but it's early." He sniffed the coffee, decided against it. "She's scheduled to sample whiteflies with the extension office folks at 9. If she doesn't show, her supervisor will notice." Lila leaned forward. "Can you ping her phone?" "Need probable cause." He tapped the table. "But your recording's a good start." "Let me talk to the chief." While he left the room, Lila opened her audio software again. She disabled all equalization and boosted the low frequencies. Under the engine rev, she detected another sound. Beep, beep, beep. 3 tones, silence, a 4th. That pattern tugged at her memory. The harvester's reefers made 2 beeps. The irrigation pumps gave 1 long. 4. Where had she heard 4? Marcus returned. "Chief says we can visit the motel, do a welfare check." "I'll come." He shook his head. "Officially, I can't take civilians." She folded her arms. "Unofficially, you know I'll follow you anyway and get sunburned doing it." His lips quirked. "Fine, but stay in the car." Sunny Palms Motel wore its age like cracked paint on a cinder block wall. Room 6, Fiona's, sat beside the ice machine. The curtain was closed, a Do Not Disturb sign dangled from the knob. Marcus rapped twice, called Fiona's name, and keyed in after the manager gave permission. The bed was made, tightly as a boot camp cot. Laptop on desk, charger plugged in. A field notebook lay open to a page of neat handwriting. Row 14 Dawn, heavy bobcat tracks near irrigation. Beside it sat a styrofoam cup stuffed with pamphlets from Caldwell Citrus Developers, a company rumoured to be buying half the county's groves to convert into luxury golf villas. Marcus opened the closet. Empty except for a bright yellow rain slicker. No suitcase. "So she didn't come home last night," Lila whispered. "What if she was taken straight from the grove?" Marcus inhaled slowly. "We need to cordon off row 14. You sure that's where you were?" "Positive. The warbler nest is there." She pointed to the notebook. "And look, she wrote the same." He flipped pages until he found yesterday's entry. "Hearing increased bee mortality. Investigate pesticide drift from Caldwell demo site." Caldwell again. Lila's stomach fizzed with dread. If she uncovered something illegal, Marcus pocketed the notebook. Time to move. Although Lila promised to stay behind the crime scene tape, she soon found herself slipping under it the moment Marcus's back turned. She crept down row 14, scanning for anything the techs might overlook. Petrified gum wrappers, tire prints, a blue binaural mic cover she'd lost last week. She stuffed that in her pocket. Then she saw the scarf. Fiona's green silk scarf, snagged on a lower branch, spattered with something grey. Lila sniffed. Diesel. "Ma'am," a forensic specialist materialized like a stern cardinal. "You're contaminating." "Sorry." She unhooked the scarf with gloved fingers the tech offered her. "Diesel residue," she noted. "Tell Deputy Reed." They bagged it. Not far beyond, she noticed faint semicircles pressed into the mud. Dual wheels. Whatever vehicle had idled here was no personal pickup. It was heavy, commercial, tall enough for her recorder to pick up the engine notes so crisply. Beep, 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 beep. The 4-tone alarm. Where had she? She gasped. Last month, during a Grove Equipment Expo near Tampa,
she demoed a brand new cargo hauler called a Grove Hauler 200. It emitted 4 short warning beeps when changing gears. The manufacturer had bragged about the distinctive sound. Only 2 farms in Grapefruit Springs had purchased the pricey machines, the community co-op and Caldwell Citrus developers, and the co-op's hauler sat outside her window every day. Back at her cottage, Lila plugged headphones into her laptop and reopened the file. She slowed playback to 60% speed. Between the engine's growl and the beeps, she noticed another layer, a jangling like metal tags, dog tags. Caldwell kept German shepherds patrolling their fenced nursery. One more detail, when the engine faded, cicadas crescendoed in the background, but only for 4 seconds before petering out. That suggested tree cover gave way to open ground, a clearing. Lila grabbed a topo map from her podcaster supply drawer. Caldwell's main staging yard bordered the pine scrub on County Road 9, a perfect clearing echo chamber. She traced the distance, about half a mile from row 14 as the crow, or the Grove Hauler, drove. She dialed Marcus, voicemail, probably coordinating the search grid. Leave a message at the sound of the beep, the recorded voice intoned. Beep, 4 short ones in her mind. Marcus, it's Leila. I think Caldwell's holding Fiona at the staging yard off County 9. The audio matches their equipment. Call me. She considered waiting, but couldn't bear it. She taped a note for Abuela, slung her field bag across her chest, and headed out. The staging yard loomed like a moonscape of half-finished ambition. Stacks of PVC, pallets of fertilizer, a row of half-disassembled pickers, all behind a chain-link fence. At the guardhouse, a sign read, "Security patrolled." No one manned the booth. Lila parked under a live oak. Her heart hammered. She was a podcaster, not Nancy Drew. But Fiona might be tied up 10 yards away.
She tugged a microphone from her bag, feeling silly, then realized the windsock could double as camouflage, a grey puffball against the dawn's leftover mist. She crept along the fence, mic raised like a magician's wand clipped with hope. A deep bark exploded to her left. A German shepherd trotted the fence line, hackles bristling. "Easy," she whispered, recalling dog training videos. She dropped to a squat, averted her eyes. The dog paused, sniffed, then trotted off as if she were no more interesting than a wandering opossum. Lila spotted a gap. Hurricane Irma's debris had smashed the bottom row of chain link. Someone had hastily zip-tied it, leaving a hand-sized hole. With shaking fingers, she cut the tie using the edge of her field trowel and wiggled through, snagging her shirt but emerging inside. The lot smelled of orange oil and diesel. She followed the odour to a corrugated shed. A Grove Hauler 200 idled nearby, its engine ticking as it cooled. Lila pressed an ear to the shed's thin wall. Nothing. She tried the padlock, too heavy to pick with improvisation, but the side window stood open 4 inches, maybe for ventilation. She lifted her microphone, angled it through the crack, and clicked on live monitoring. Static then, sniffles, soft, contained. "Hello," she whispered. A gasp, then, "Lila? Fiona, are you hurt? My wrists are taped. I think they went to get the boss." She sounded fragile but fierce. "I'm getting help." Lila pulled her phone. 2 service bars. Good enough. Before she could dial, tires crunched gravel. A white pickup turned the corner, Caldwell Citrus logo on its door. Lila flattened behind a pallet of fertilizer. Out stepped Dean Caldwell himself, sunburned cheeks puffed red. He unlocked the shed, dragging the door wide. "Change of plans, kid," he barked. We're driving you to the construction site by the interstate. No snoops there. Fiona replied with a muffled protest. Lila's mind raced. She toggled her mic to record, shoved it beneath the pallet pointing outward, and darted back to the hole in the fence. She squeezed through just as the German shepherd rounded again, giving a lazy wag. "Good dog," she breathed, running for the hatchback. Marcus finally answered on the third ring. "Where are you?" he asked. "Caldwell's yard. Fiona's inside a shed. Dean Caldwell just arrived. They're moving her." Lila gulped air. "I have audio proof. He practically confessed." "You're alone? Stay put. Units are 15 minutes out." "They'll be gone by then." Her hands trembled on the steering wheel. "I'll tail them at a distance. Send backup to State Road 18 eastbound." Marcus cursed softly. "Don't get closer than 100 yards, Sanchez." "Si, senor," she said, and hung up. The white pickup pulled out, dust curling behind. Lila waited 2 heartbeats, cranked the engine, and followed. Chasing someone at dawn on a rural highway looks cinematic in movies, but mostly involves obeying speed limits and praying your quarry ignores the only other vehicle on the road. Lila hung back, flipping her sunglasses onto her head, even though sunrise glared directly into the rear view. Maybe Caldwell's mirror would reflect nothing but bright light. At mile marker 12, flashing red and blue lights erupted behind her. 2 sheriff's cruisers roared past, sirens off for stealth, and tucked in behind the pickup. Caldwell must have seen them, because the truck jerked onto the shoulder, fishtailing through sand before stopping nose-deep in scrub. Lila braked 50 yards back. She watched deputies exit with weapons drawn, watched Caldwell raise his hand slow as molasses, watched Fiona emerge from the passenger side, wrists still bound but face streaked with joyous tears. The morning humidity felt suddenly sweet. Marcus waved her forward. She trotted over. "Persistent rule-breaker," he muttered, but his eyes twinkled. "Your audio gave probable cause. Good work." One paramedic snipped the duct tape from Fiona's wrists. "Lila," Fiona said hoarsely, "I owe you a lifetime supply of B data." "You owe me coffee," Lila replied. They laughed, and relief bloomed brighter than the rising sun. 2 weeks later, Whispers Among the Groves dropped a special episode. Lila's intro ran over gentle, wind-rustled leaves. "Dear listeners, today's soundscape is different. You'll still hear birds, but you'll also hear courage, community, and the importance of paying attention. Sometimes the grove whispers warnings, not lullabies." She inserted 30 seconds of her original recording, followed by a montage of deputies arresting Caldwell, Fiona thanking the paramedics, and even Marcus teasing, "Next time, record a silence, okay?" The episode ended with the hooded warblers singing again, undisturbed now that Caldwell's development permit was suspended, pending an environmental review, an unexpected silver lining to his arrest. Listeners flooded the comment section with virtual hugs and citrus emoji cheer. That evening, Lila and Fiona lounged on Abuela's porch with mason jars of iced naranja tea. Fireflies winked above the orange blossoms. "What will you research next?" Lila asked. "Might study how podcasting amateurs solve crimes," Fiona teased, then sobered. "Honestly, I want to catalogue pollinators across all family-owned groves, show the county their ecological value. Caldwell's scheme isn't the only threat. Count me in for sound design." Lila tapped her recorder resting on the table. "But can we skip the kidnapping subplot?" Fiona raised her jar. "To boring field seasons." "To benign dawn choruses," Lila agreed, clinking glass. A barred owl hooted from the hammock forest. The friends listened, smiles curling. Out here, mysteries might still rise with the sun, but so would the people, armed with microphones, curiosity, and a grove that whispered its secrets to anyone patient enough to hear.